invite Tony. Going to welcome Tony Hamilton to start us off in our Sunday service.
All right, thank you. Getting all these messages. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need, and I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. Love is my source, love is my power, love gives me everything I need, and I give thanks for all my blessings. Love gives me everything I need. Joy is my source, joy is my power, joy gives me everything I need, and I give thanks for all my blessings. Joy gives me everything I need. Peace is my source, peace is my power, peace gives me everything I need, and I give thanks for all my blessings. Peace gives me everything I need. God is my source, God is my power, God gives me everything I need, and I give thanks for all my blessings. God gives me everything I need. God, love, joy, peace and power. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need. God gives me everything I need.
Oh, beautiful. One of our all-time favorites, and so true, and such a great reminder. Our practitioner of the day is Ralane Clarke. And I'm going to invite Ralane to do our invocation, and I believe she's got a little story for us too.
Yeah.
Welcome, Ralane.
Thank you. All right, let's all just close our eyes together and just feel the peace and the gratitude for that song that Tony just sang. And just feel the goodness of spirit in and of and through each of us, and in and of and through our collective circle of friendship and connection. And I'm just knowing that today's service, starting out with the beautiful music and the message from Reverend Michelle and all of you and your presence and everyone's participation and all those that aren't even here today, it just all represents a higher energy of peace and goodness and gratitude and love. so grateful, and I release this prayer with gratitude in my heart, and I just say with all of you, and so it is. As a mother, I learned to trust my son's creative interests and his thought processes. My young son didn't have doubts, and he knew his interests and projects would work out. And at 12 in 6th grade, my son Dima came home on a Friday, and his teacher said that she would give him an opportunity to improve his grade if he completed an extra credit project over the weekend. His teacher asked him to pick an inventor from a list that she gave him and to write a report. And on this list was many inventors, but Dima chose Charles Babbage. And although, like I said, there were many names, he was very confident with this choice. And I said to Dima, "Are you sure about him?" And he said a definite yes. So he researched on his own about Charles Babbage, who was called the father of computing, and his designs are considered to be the great-great-grandparents of today's computers. In my story about Dima, I think it's helpful to know just a little bit about Charles Babbage. He was born in 1791, and he started school at 10. He loved games, especially chess, and his favorite subject was math. He received an advanced degree in math and was interested in lock picking and decoding ciphers. He did cipher decoding in the military, and he loved trains, and he would ride them as much as he could possibly ride trains. And he became a mechanical engineer. He designed and built an engine that was like a calculator and a computer combined with his own hands and basic tools. He called it the difference engine with 25,000 parts. He won a gold medal for this engine, and it was always accurate. He also created a difference engine number 2 design, like the first one, and this one even had a printer. And it had only 8,000 parts, but he never was able to build this design. Okay, so stay with me on this. Hope I haven't lost you so far. 130 years later, the curator of the Museum of Computing in England built this difference engine number 2 with the original design of Charles Babbage. And it took them 17 years, and it worked perfectly, including the printer. They made a second duplicate engine and sent it to California, to the Silicon Valley, to the Computer History Museum. This caught Dima's attention, and we found a museum in Silicon Valley, not far from where we lived. And this was a Sunday. We called the museum, and it was open, and found out the difference engine number 2 would be there for just another week before it was going to be sent back to England. So I believe you know the end of this story. And Michelle is going to share a picture of Dima. And here he is in front of the Charles Babbage difference machine. And Charles Babbage is in the background there. And the museum staff were wonderful. They actually operated the machine and also the printer to show how accurate it was and how it worked. The teacher was totally blown away by Dima's report, especially the picture of him in front of the Charles Babbage machine. So Michelle's talk today is about where we put our attention is important, and everything is available to us. Well, my 12-year-old son knew this already and helped me to understand this as well. The story of Charles Babbage and his difference engine and his creative spirit were just waiting for us to arrive. And so it is.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool. You know, when you sent that picture, I was like, what is this? I was waiting for the story behind it. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that lovely, lovely story. And Dima was so cute as a little kid.
Yeah.
I knew him later when he was in high school, so I never really saw him when he was that little.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Ralane. And let's see, I have October's, if I can find it here, hang on a second. I have October's affirmation. We had kind of we kind of sat on the fence whether or not we were going to do them, but I thought it might be kind of fun. October is a wonderful month. So do you want to lead everybody in this, Ralane?
Sure, happy to. Today I rise above circumstances. I draw my awareness to the present moment, free of judgment, opinion, or expectation. In everything I see an underlying perfect unity, and I live in a consciousness of love, peace, and gratitude. In this way, I consciously co-create my life, and so it is.
Thank you so much. That's great. And we're going to have some more music from our wonderful musician of the day, Tony. Take it away, Tony.
Thank you. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
Thank you, Tony. Great, another great reminder. Wonderful. And perfect. It's actually perfectly fitting because that's a Karen Drucker song and she features in today's message. So perfect. That worked out well. Good morning, everyone. And welcome to One Heart, One Mind, Center for Spiritual Living's online spiritual community. And we are an online community. And welcome to today's Sunday service. And welcome to October. I love October. You know, just the kind of thought of October brings to mind for me the idea of the harvest. You know, I know Justin, my son who's online, he's just finishing up his grape harvest. And it reminds me of kind of like apples hanging heavy on the tree and giant pumpkins, you know, ready to turn into jack-o'-lanterns and pumpkin pie, overflowing cornucopias, you know, just kind of an abundance of all things, you know. Just the thought of autumn, of the fall kind of fills me with this fullness, a richness, kind of a comfort and a warmth that other seasons don't really have. And because of this feeling of fullness, it seems very fitting that October's theme is living everyday wonder through prosperity. And we'll particularly be talking about financial prosperity this month, but it just seems like a good time to talk about the fullness of life. And as I'm sure you're aware, our relationship with our finances can be a little tricky. You know, it can be an area of this immense freedom and joy, or it can be an area of suffocatingly limited thinking and struggle. You know, and our experience of financial prosperity always begins with our perception of it. You know, before I began practicing the science of mind philosophy, I really grew up in thinking of financial prosperity in the view of lack and always not enoughness. But after I began practicing this philosophy, you know, I really turned that thinking around. You know, at first, before I started practicing science of mind, I kind of saw financial prosperity as something that was only sourced from the outside world, you know, my job or some other source, tax refund, whatever it was. But then I started developing this personal relationship with spirit, and then my perspective of money changed and expanded as well. And now I began to realize that, like all things, money, it just is sourced from this invisible presence that we call God, you know, like all things in our human world. Everything that we have, food, clothes, homes, cars, everything we need to live on planet Earth as human beings comes through the channels of human activity, but is not sourced from the channels of human activities. All things, visible and invisible, all things visible are sourced from the invisible. You know, Ernest Holmes, our founder, told us that everything in form begins as an idea in the mind of God, in divine mind. I love that thought, that everything is sourced from this one invisible cause. So let's begin at the beginning today. Today's topic is swimming in the infinite ocean, you know, which is, of course, a metaphor for the infinite consciousness or presence of God, the infinite source of all. And as we look at the abundant nature of the universe, you know, we can see the expression of this divine presence everywhere, fully present everywhere. All we have to do is look around. It's like October harvest that never ends. You know, and as we shift our perspective from the limitation we sometimes encounter in our human experience to what is possible when we remove these kind of arbitrary boundaries in our thinking and our feeling, we begin to see a shift in our experience. We begin to stand in the flow of life moving through us, and we begin to allow and to become available to the life that wants to move through us. We can think of that wonderful song, I think it's Ricky Byers who sings Use Me. We can be available for the divine presence to use us. You know, we can open ourselves to the flow of beauty, of love, of bliss, of intelligence, you know, of prosperity. Our intention kind of shifts from seeking to go out and find what we need to begin to align with what is already within us, that is already available to us in this infinite ocean of God, if you will. And I just had this experience I'd like to share with you, you know, that really kind of illustrates the artificial limitations that we sometimes place on ourselves, and the artificial limitations that hold us back to the good that is available for us to experience in our lives. So several months ago, Jean Perkle, you might all know Jean. Jean's a practitioner, brand new practitioner, and she's on our board. She's the secretary of the board, and she's wonderful. And Jean schedules all our wonderful musicians. She's scheduled Tony for today. And Jean suggested to me that we invite Karen Drucker, who wrote that song that Tony sang, and many others, to perform the music for our Sunday service. Now, if you don't know who Karen Drucker is, she's kind of a musical icon in the New Thought movement. And just thinking about that, immediately my barriers went up, right? Immediately I thought, oh, there's no way we're going to get Karen Drucker, much less be able to afford her. And so right off the bat, in my mind and in my heart, I put up these barriers. I completely closed that door. But Jean had already reached out to Karen with an email, and Karen had replied. And Karen said that when she visits a community, she likes to both speak and do the music. And she wanted to know what we paid our musicians and our speakers. And so Jean didn't really know that, and she asked if I'd reply to her. So I reluctantly said yes, but immediately my ego kind of got caught up, and I was embarrassed to actually tell Karen what we pay our speakers and our musicians. I thought, oh my gosh, this is going to be an insult to her. And so once again, I kind of put up that barrier, I put it on the back burner thinking, oh, what's the point? Why should I bother, right? So then about a month ago, Jean brought it up again, and I told her I hadn't replied to Karen. But she really wanted me to, so I said I would, and I kind of mustered up the courage to tell Karen exactly what we pay our musicians and our speakers, and she said yes. I was totally blown away. She told me that she loved meeting on Zoom with new communities because it allowed her to experience that, all of the parts of our organization and all of these wonderful people that she might not ever see. And she said she'd be honored to speak and to play for us. So I was totally blown away. The first open Sunday she has is January 22nd, but she's still coming. But the point of the story is that my small, limited thinking almost denied us the experience of having Karen Drucker come and speak with us and share her music. It almost denied Karen the opportunity to see the faces and experience the energy of our wonderful spiritual community. So small thinking, small outcome. Big thinking, big outcome. Thank you, God. I learned my lesson. And you know this stuff, but you don't realize how often and in what small, seemingly insignificant ways our small thinking can hold us back. This infinite ocean of divine mind is really the one and only reality. Call it what we will, God, spirit, whatever. It is really the only reality. The infinite supply of ideals expressed as ideas is the wealth and the abundance of spirit of God. These ideas, let's call them potential energies, are available to everyone, everywhere, always. There's no limit in God. Spirit has no limit on any concepts. Spirit is not lack or restriction. Even though kind of through the millennia, people have created ideas about God and our relationship to God, these ideas or rules of conditional love, the idea that we must earn our good and our prosperity. And if we aren't successful, then we're doomed to kind of live in a world of lack and limitation. Like there is some condition that is incumbent on our behavior or something that we have to earn or do. And that's just not true. Believing God to be something that it isn't will create something that it isn't. But none of these ideas make any sense. An infinite presence of life and love, of oneness, can't be divided against itself. Life can't be divided against itself. God can't be divided against itself, or it would be life, it'd be death. So in order for us to have a healthy relationship with our good, with our prosperity and our wealth, we have to have a healthy relationship with spirit. In Matthew 6:33, Jesus told his followers to seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto thee. And we can find that kingdom right where we are within ourselves. And we can find the rejection or the misunderstanding of that kingdom right where we are, right within ourselves as well. But when we seek ye first the fullness of spirit, when we consciously swim in an ocean of good, then when we align with possibility, the good that is already within this infinite ocean of God or goodness, then we get to have Karen Drucker come and play and speak with us. And synchronistic things happen to us that open doors through human channels. It comes through human channels, but are not sourced from human channels. The good of the world comes through human channels, but is sourced from the allness of the divine. And you know, it didn't have to be Karen Drucker. It could have been anyone else who would bring that sense of alive freshness and opportunity to our center and our good. And it can be anything that brings that sense of alive freshness into your life. Because when we align with the big life of spirit, rather than the limited thinking of the ego mind, oh, I'm embarrassed, I can't admit that, then the good just flows. You know, if we're going to allow the infinite abundance, the wealth of the universe, because remember, we're talking about prosperity, abundance expressed as prosperity. If we're going to allow that to freely express through us, then we have to have a healthy understanding of this aspect of the nature of the divine. Wealth simply means abundant supply. It's derived from a Middle English word, what was it? It was wheel, W-E-L-E, which means well-being. It's inconceivable to me that a benevolent and intelligent universal power and presence would want for itself or for its creation a life of poverty or restriction or lack. How would that serve anyone? The infinite is unlimited. It expresses freely through its creation. And if something is true of spirits, of God, it must be universally true of all aspects of spirit, which is us, of itself. Wealth isn't things. Wealth is the well-being of things, including us. And the first wealth of spirit is ideas. Remember, Holmes told us that everything begins as an idea in the mind of spirit. I like to think of it as an ideal that is translated into an idea and expresses in the medium of physical experience. You know, that's where we call that substance. Everything comes from the substance of the divine, the invisible yet real energy that underlies everything. You know, science tells us that space isn't empty. Rather, it's filled with energy, both potential and particulate. Charles Fillmore, and you may recognize the name, he was one of the co-founders of Unity, which is a cousin of Science of Mind or Centers for Spiritual. And he said that energies seem to fall like golden snowflakes all around him. Whatever image or idea you may relate to, we know that we're immersed in a substance, in an infinite abundance, an infinite wealth, and that we're in it and it is in us. You know, I heard this great story. I love stories. I loved Ralane's story this morning. I heard a story about a woman who said that she wanted to experience a happier life. And so she got the idea that if she lived with more gratitude, she'd be happy, which of course is a great idea because it's so true. And she decided that she would stop and she would take a moment to feel gratitude every time she found money. You know, loose change in a parking lot or in the couch cushion, a few dollars in her pants pocket, any unexpected check that came in the mail. Whenever she found money, she would stop and she would feel grateful. And she said that she began to find money everywhere. It worked so well that she decided to be the one to leave money in places for other people to find. dropping change on the sidewalk, paying for someone's meal in the car behind her at the fast food drive-up window. And she said that the more money she gave away, the more she found. And the more grateful she became and the happier she was. Remember, the original idea wasn't even to find money or to give money. It was just to be happier, to be more in the flow of God's abundance, God's abundant life. So I just think this is a beautiful example of the power of gratitude, that when we stand in gratitude, we stand in the flow of life. We don't give thanks to get more. We give thanks because we realize that it's our divine nature to give. And this story is based on exactly the same principle that we've been practicing in our unexpected income practice. We don't give 10% to get more. We give 10% because it's in our nature to give. Just as it's in the nature of our Creator to give. We express life through this cycle of giving and receiving. Thomas Trower, you may recognize that name as well. He was one of the main influences on Ernest Holmes, who created the science of mind philosophy. When Thomas Trower observed that the universe creates by contemplating itself, which is kind of an interesting idea. Where are we putting our attention? I know Ralane mentioned that in her, when she was telling her story, that I'm going to talk about where we put our attention. So in Science of Mind, we say that we become what we think about. We're not the only ones. The ancient metaphysical philosopher Plotinus told us that he didn't argue, he contemplated, and that as he contemplates, he let fall the seeds of thought into the mirror of mind, which then becomes the mirror of matter. As we contemplate the infinite nature of God, Spirit, that contemplation aligns us with its nature, which is our nature. It lifts us out of our conditioned beliefs and lack and limitation and struggle, ideas that Karen Drucker could possibly come to our center, and into the truth of flow and grace and plenty. I love the word plentitude. Michael Beckwith uses that all, into plentitude. And we don't have to argue or fight with ourselves or with the world. We simply have to turn our attention to our oneness with the divine presence, what we're talking about today, that we're swimming in an ocean of it. And we can contemplate creation itself. I stopped the flow of our opportunity to hear Karen Drucker because I didn't think it was possible. I was focusing on the limitation of it, not the possibility of it. But Jean believed that it was possible, and she kind of opened me up to the experience of the possible as well. We can find inspiration anywhere around us. So really, as we clear our old ideas of lack and limitation, and we kind of establish ourselves in this infinite ocean of God consciousness, we naturally let go of these old ideas and beliefs that have kind of kept us restricted. And, we begin to recognize the vastness of spirit and, just its extravagant nature. We recognize our oneness with its nature, and we stop thinking about lack and limitation. We start thinking that that's even a possibility for us, a possibility for good spiritual people. Charles Fillmore, again, he said that it is a sin to be poor, and that always puzzled me before I knew what he was really talking about. Sin is an archery term, which means you missed the mark. It simply means you made a mistake. So when we hit the mark, the bullseye, it means we're standing in the infinite flow of divine good that's always available to us. When we hit the mark, we no longer believe in the ways of the old fears. It means we turn our attention. We become aware that we're constantly swimming in that infinite ocean of thriving and the beauty and the harmony and the brilliance of life. Now, here's the thing, and I always come back to this. I probably have said it a million times too. I always come back to the way of thinking that when I think of life as a gift, but also a responsibility, when I think of being human as such a gift, but also a responsibility, when I think of everything that I experience in my inner world, in the invisible world, and in the world of form, when I view it all as a sacred experience, to be sacred and holy, it really changes the way I experience everything, the way I experience life. When I realize that everything I need and want is available to me within this ocean of consciousness of good, and when I realize that whatever I put my attention on, I'll experience more of, then it just simply kind of comes down to how much of my waking day am I focused on the things that I don't have and I don't want, rather than what is possible, rather than how I want to feel and how I want to live. How much of my waking day do I focus on this infinite ocean of potential good? You know, where am I putting my attention? Just like a woman in the story, she wanted to be happier. So she focused on what she was grateful for, rather than the things she didn't want or didn't like. Where am I putting my attention the majority of the time? You know, I read something the other day that said, even though the truth is out there, it is not necessarily what people pay attention to. So, and I think that's true. Whenever we put our attention on becomes real for us. It's like your thumb. When you put your attention on it, it exists for you. But a few minutes ago, you weren't even thinking about your thumb. But the moment I mentioned it, you became aware of it. It existed for you. Suddenly you got thumbs. Consciousness, the mind of God, the infinite ocean of potential exists for us when we pay attention to what is within it. When we did the meditation this morning, I invited everyone to focus on that infinite ocean of good and what they wanted to stand on in their life. What aspect did they want to stand on? Joy, happiness, prosperity, peace, comfort, whatever it may be, we put our attention on it and we get more of it. Science tells us that there is this invisible field of frequency and energy that exists beyond our senses, that connects everything, that has a common source. But how do we get there? How do we consciously connect? It's actually pretty simple. You know, we take a few moments throughout our days, just like the lady who wanted to be happy, who paused to take a moment, to feel a moment of gratitude when she found money. We can pause. We can take our attention off of our body and our environment and off the world of time and space just for a few minutes and put our attention on the infinite ocean of possibilities where all things are born. And it's here where we align with the good that already is. It's here where we plant the seeds of our physical reality and our physical experience, our life experience. You know, obviously we're human, so we have to pay attention to the world sometimes, but how do we view it? Do we view it as the source, or do we view it as an expression of source, as an outcome of the divine infinite presence, and put our attention on what is possible as an expression? And if we do that the majority of the time, which takes practice, we have to practice that awareness, pulling ourselves back when we get off track. So this week, I just invite you to put your attention on the opulence and the beauty and the brilliance and the humor and the play and the joy and the fun of life that is available to us within this infinite ocean that we're always swimming in. I invite us to put our attention on our oneness with this presence, because whatever is true of our Creator is true of its creation, which is us. Whatever is true of life is true of our life. So let's just take a nice deep centering breath in and know with me that all there is life. This infinite ocean that we swim in, that is beautiful and intelligent and balanced and ordered and brilliant and loving and sacred and holy, and that we are one with it. It is playful, it is imaginative. Oh, it's juicy and good. It is motivated and it is constantly moving forward just as we are in it. So I speak my word for and about each and every person that is present on this call and each and every person that is not, that there is a shift of our attention, that there is an opening, a welcoming in alignment with this new fresh way of being that exists within the mind of the divine. And it is our life. It is our good. It is our fun and our play and our joy and our prosperity. And it filters through human channels, but is sourced from the infinite, the invisible source. So I am just so grateful for this. I'm grateful for the reality of life itself, the one and only grand reality of the divine. So grateful. I relax in that, knowing all is well. And I invite you to say with me, and so it is. And so it is. Oh, thank you so much for being with me today. I really appreciate your presence here. It's always so great to see all those faces. So I believe Lisa, are you going to center us in? Let's see if I can get Jean gave me these beautiful, beautiful slides to share with you. So let me find it. Hang on a minute. I'm getting there. There are several ways to give it our center. Go ahead, Lisa. Here it is. Lisa, sweetheart, you're still muted.
I was just thinking that in terms of giving to one heart, one mind at this moment, it's a way really to express our gratitude in whatever way is possible for what we have and the source that helps us have it. And so there are several ways that you can do a financial gift to one heart, one mind, and the Venmo mobile apps is the easiest. And you just send it to the O Home Center, or you can send a check to Jim Massapist. And the address for that is in the chat. And so we can together say our gratefulness blessing.
Here it is. Let's see. Did that come up? Can you see it?
There it is. Yes. Yes. Okay. Everything flows from the nature of God's good. We receive from this flow. We give from this flow. We give in gratitude and in love. We have faith in the infinite giving nature of spirit. And so it is.
So it is. Beautiful. Thank you, Lisa. We'll come back to you for the benediction, but right now I'm going to invite Yvonne to give us our announcements.
Oh, great. Some of my announcements will be repeat of what I just heard, but that's okay. Monday evening prayer group is from 6 to 6:20, and we silently pray for one heart, one mind, and it's proven that communal prayer is proven to be really powerful. So please join us. Tuesday evening spiritual learning from 6 to 7. We will continue our 4-week visioning workshop. Visioning, a spiritual practice is what it's called. A way of life, a spiritual practice, a way of life. This will be week 2, and it's facilitated by, let me see, Reverend Michelle and Practitioner Ralane. I'm being silly. I like to be silly. So if you don't like silliness, just ignore me. Unexpected income fundraiser is still going on. And in order to have the pleasure and fun of receiving funds that are unexpected, you have to work on noticing them. I also find that if I don't right then when I find this stuff, submit them to our treasurer, I easily forget to do it. And so also be sure you mark your donations, unexpected income. And I had a great one this week. I sent some money in today to Venmo, but it was, I've moved, as most of you know, into a place that's over 55, but you have to be an active person. It's not one where they give you your dinners and all that stuff. It's really cool. They have a great way of having all this stuff to do. But anyway, they have a program that's sponsored by some church around here that offers free food. And so I went to the program just to see what it was like, and got, for 2 weeks, I've gotten free food, seriously free food from good places like Jimbo's and whatever. I think they should find a winery though. I think that would be really good. Anyway, so I just, that was my little story. That's my my unexpected income. And I think it's just cool. And then I want to remind you that we have a kindness fund. Don't forget about it. If you participate by delivering kindness items, you would like to do that, that's available. You can come up with really good ideas on what things might be available when you need it. And you can also donate to the fund, the kindness fund. And I heard that Charlotte got a really nice toy from.
I was just going to say, I was a recipient of the kindness fund because we had to put our dog down this week on Tuesday. He had some cancer and it was really sad. And so I got a plant and Charlotte got a toy and from the kindness fund. And it's just a nice little pick me up. Oh, people are thinking about me. It was very wonderful.
Yeah.
On that note, I'm sorry, do you have more?
I have one more thing.
Okay.
You want me to, I'll say my one more thing. The other thing I wanted to do is remind you of our, this is a great one, of our music fund. I mean, it's what supports these wonderful people like Tony and Karen Drucker. So,
Isn't that a great story?
yes, it's wonderful. And you're telling it and I was thinking, oh my gosh, that's what I was going to talk about. So you should, let me back up about kindness. You can contact Ralane if you have ideas or money or whatever. And music fund, same thing. You can, with the music fund, you can contact Reverend Michelle, or you can just send it in. If you have money that you want to give, you can send it in and just be sure it's marked that it's for the music fund or it's for the kindness fund. And I think that's all I have to say. You need me to find some more? Sorry. I'll be good.
It's okay. Go ahead, Lisa.
I just wanted to piggyback on the kindness fund in terms of sometimes it's your presence that is something that matters. And I think most of you know Rosalind Owen, and she had surgery on September the 7th, heart surgery, and she's had a very painful, difficult recovery period, and she's still at Sharp Hospital. And I spoke to her recently, and she's finally in a place where she would enjoy a visitor if you call first, because she's still having she has to relearn how to swallow. She only recently got to that place. And so at any rate, have her in your prayers.
Yes, I spoke with her. Thank you for bringing that up, Lisa. I spoke with her yesterday and she was so grateful to hear from, people when they call her. She did say, I told her I might come visit her and she did say to call first, as Lisa said. She's in room 603 if anybody wants to go and see her. And she might be moved into like a convalescent place to recover. I don't know what to call that. Skilled nursing facility, I think they're called. Right. But anyway, so yeah, give a call, but even a call, if you can't physically be there, I'm sure she would appreciate it. And all prayers are welcome for her as well.
Yes, she when I spoke with her, she wanted to thank everybody for their prayers and to ask you to continue.
Yeah.
Okay, so
go ahead.
Is that it? Does anyone have, it's time to end, time to benedict, bless? Okay, so if we could all draw back together into that space, that infinite ocean that holds each and every one of us, and to know that this service was blessed and that each and every person here or within the call of this who listen to it now or later are all blessed by the presence of spirit that moves through each and every service that we have, and that especially moves through the words of Reverend Michelle and the music that we're able to have. And I think that we were very blessed by Tony today in terms of the alignment of her chants with what we were hearing. And so I encourage everyone to have a blessed week and to go forth and place your attention on the things of love and beauty and joy. And I release my word into the law, and we release together by saying, and so it is.
And so it is. Thank you, Lisa. That was beautiful. And Tony's going to have a closing song for us.
Thank you. Reverend Michelle, if I may, I just want to say to you that I find you so clear on the teaching, but more important, able to make it clear. Really, really great talk today. Thank you very much. I just noticed that seems to be your talent, making it clear. You know, that's my take on it anyway. And I just want to share. I met Karen Drucker at a Silmar years ago. I don't know what we were doing. I think we were waiting to do the Silmar choir rehearsal or something, and we just started chatting. Just a lovely woman. I had no idea who she was. I was just next to somebody chatting, and just that loving, kind, beautiful spirit. And what I have witnessed is that she does not put money first. She puts spirit first. You know, so two songs that I did today were by Karen Drucker, God is My Source, and I am so blessed. And the next song, the last song that I'm going to do is by Shanda Rule. And I just want to also say that my tracks are done by the incredible Richard Cummings, who I so appreciate. And so here we are. I am prosperous. God knows I'm prosperous. I am prosperous. I am whole. I am prosperous. God knows I'm prosperous. I am prosperous. I am whole. I am prosperous. 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 I am whole. I am prosperous. God knows I'm prosperous. I am prosperous. I am whole. I am prosperous. God knows I'm prosperous. I am prosperous. I am whole. I am prosperous. 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 I am whole. I am prosperous. God knows I'm prosperous. I am prosperous. I am whole. I am prosperous. God knows I'm prosperous. I am prosperous. I am whole. I am prosperous. 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 I am whole. 'cause I am whole.
Woo-hoo-hoo. Thank you for that. That was beautiful. Loved it.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's pretty much the end of our service today. But we probably want to stay on and chit chat with each other a little bit.